everyone. Thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So tonight we're going to be talking about We Are the Fire by Sam Taylor. This was the Book of the Month winner on the Sin's Workshop. It was a winner, not the last month's winner. And it follows Pran and Oksana, two children who were taken from their homes at a young age and made into soldiers through experimentation and magic. I will say the cover of the novel itself is very captivating. I did like it, but what didn't really work out for me with the story was, I can't really pinpoint it. I don't know if I was just too mentally exhausted when I first started reading this, but I started it twice. At two different points. I started it once during my lunch break, and I started it again, there's an hour I like to reserve once the kids are asleep before I go to bed. If I have the energy, I'll read for an hour, maybe longer, depending on how hooked I am in the book. And I could not get into it. And I have the book. I have the physical book. But it being a winner, I do have a duty to review it. That is my promise to all the winners. I'm going to review your book, right? If you are a Book of the Month winner. Unfortunately, for me, it was really hard getting into, so I ended up using one of my Audible credits. I know I'm always on about Amazon and everything, but I used one of my Audible credits, and I decided to listen to the book. At least this way I was able to at least stay engaged for the most part. I will say the production value of the audiobook was really well done. I was able to capture my attention, and it was able to hook me, which unfortunately me reading the paperback I was unable to just stay focused reading it. Again, I don't know if that's just because I was just mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted. It's been a bit of a month for me. But I books are like my escape. I love to read. So the fact that I wasn't able to get into it does say a lot for me personally. That being said, I still ultimately didn't find the book to be 100% memorable, unfortunately. I can't say that I love this book. I can't say I hated it either. Somewhere in the middle. I liked things about it, and I was just left wanting a lot more by the end of the day. Like I said, it follows two kids, and they're, young adults now, or new adults. They're probably between 16 and 18, right? And they've been experimented on. They have fire, they have magic, and they are now warriors, right? They were turned into weapons. They are children soldiers. And I think that concept itself is a very mature concept. I will give it to Taylor. She did do, they did, I don't know the pronouns. So they did an excellent job with kind of bringing to life this very real concept of child soldiers. And then you have a rebellion. There's something going wrong. They start to investigate, and they just say, you know what? We're sick of this. We don't want to be soldiers. We don't want to fight in this war. We don't want to be these fire-wielding weapons of terror to be used against our own people. So they start to kind of, begin their own rebellion, right? Overall, the plot itself, like I said, staring at my notes, I can't really pinpoint exactly specifics because, again, I didn't find the story that memorable. But what I did find memorable was this discussion of morality, of ethics, of humanity. They want, these two characters, they both want to escape, but not just for themselves. They want to just end everything. They want to end the terror of, the emperor. They want to put an end to the kidnappings. They want to free their people. So what happens is they both take different routes towards their rebellion. They are sharing their rebellion, but they both have different ideals about it. And that's when the story becomes really engaging. This discourse between them of what do we risk in order to be free? What do we risk? There is a saying that to kill a monster means to become one, but does it really have to be? These characters are doing a lot of things that can tarnish their soul and their humanity. There is a lot of question of, how do we handle this situation without becoming a monster? How do we handle this situation without becoming like the ones who abused us and tortured us and, turned us into weapons? Like, we don't want that. So there is a lot of questioning here. There's a lot of, like I said, I didn't hate the book. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But I did like this aspect of the storytelling, how it does take into account, actions do have consequences. Does the end result excuse you and save you ultimately from becoming like your oppressors, or do you become an oppressor? Especially, some classic fairy tales see Snow White hinting at becoming the next evil queen. So that's kind of, I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but that's kind of where the story is going, And there is this discourse between the characters, between Pran and Oksana. And I like the discourse because it does give some substance to their romance as far as the story goes. Yes, early on you get to see that they're swoonly in love, but it's not very believable, But as the story progresses, as they begin to develop what they are willing to do and discuss it and debate, what is morally and ethically okay for them to do, you're really seeing who these two characters are and what they mean to each other. And it really does do a nice balance for the romance. It does give some more credibility because these two characters are going in different directions, but their paths converge quite often, that it allows their romance to really grow and blossom by the end of it. These are characters, they're not just romantic buddies, they're friends. They are friends. I like that. I like that there is some substance there to their romance. Because, to start on them off, pretty sure he says, I want to kiss you right from the beginning. And I'm like, oh God, that's cheesy. And it's just like, come on. It just didn't leave a whole lot of room, except the author was able to take a step back from that and regrow their romance through the tension and through the events of the story. There's lots of push, there's lots of pull, there's lots of growth, there's lots of them analyzing who they are as characters, and they are really driving the narrative forward, because as far as the story goes, I can't really remember specific scenes, but I do remember the story. I do remember the characters' drive. I do remember this discussion. I do remember the tension between the characters. I think they really are the driving force of the whole narrative. That being said, I wish there had been something more memorable about the story. I mean, it just feels like a bunch of fuzz to me. Like, blurred. It's blurred. It's very blurred for me. Like I'm looking at it, replaying in my head, and it's like me trying to read without my glasses. That's how blurry it is. And I need my glasses. I'm blind without them. These are prescription. So I think it's just, I wanted something more memorable from the story than what I got. Granted, I do think it does have a lot of merit, a lot of merit, and it is worthy of discussion, especially when you're debating, the ethics and the morals and the humanity of the story. Like, what does it mean to save everyone? Do you risk your own soul in order to save everyone? Or is there a way you can save everyone without sacrificing your own humanity? I liked that plays into the story. I do think it does give the story some depth overall. But that's really the only thing I can find memorable about the story. When I forget which was which. Ooh, my daughter is awake. Gotta wrap this up. One of the characters does get further experimented on, and her power becomes even more inflamed, pun intended. So I thought that was a really memorable scene, especially because it does strip her of much of her humanity at certain points, and she does become a monster. So you're really seeing, actions and then manipulation take away humanity. And these characters, trying so hard to hold on to their humanity. So, it really is a good, interesting read. Was it the best thing I've read this year? No, unfortunately not. I wanted something more. I wanted something more memorable. The fact that it was really hard for me to get into to begin with kinda did dampen my mood. I wasn't as engaged overall into the storytelling, but I will say the production of the audiobook did at least hook me. It did capture my attention. It did keep me engaged long enough to finish the book. But again, I just didn't find it memorable overall. Like actual scenes, can I tell you what the story's about? Sure. Can I pinpoint certain scenes? Probably not. I'm trying right now. The only one I can think of is when there's a girl who gets caught, and she is burned alive, and she's singing a song. That was a pretty good scene. And she's kind of the catalyst for the Pran and Oksana taking the rebellion to the next level. And then you also have when Pran and Oksana really challenge the Emperor. But those are like midway to the end things, and they're very far apart. But there are very few scenes that I can actually pinpoint to you right now and recall with clarity. So, and I can't really, I just wanted it to be more memorable. And for me, it just felt a little lackluster, unfortunately. So I have to give it 3 out of 5 stars. I do love the debate, and I do love the discussion of, ethics and morality and humanity. That I did like, because there are a lot of characters who do some ethically questionable things, but they do it in the name of good. And then you're just like, well, does that outweigh it? No, but it's something to discuss. It is something worthy of discussion. And I like books that do offer a chance for discussion. So I'm going to give this book 3 out of 5 stars. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.